What's up, everybody? Kevin here, aka the Fantasy Football Geek from DFSArmy.com. And I'm back with my 2018 season-long fantasy football wide receiver rankings. We started with the running back rankings in the previous video. Now we're going to the wide receiver position, and it wouldn't be a Geeks rankings without some bold calls. And I'm starting it out pretty bold here with DeAndre Hopkins as my number one overall wide receiver for 2018. I'm putting him ahead of Antonio Brown this year, mainly because Brown carries just a little bit of risk with some extra weapons on the Steelers, plus the Ben Roethlisberger propensity to get injured in recent seasons has really hurt Antonio Brown's production. Now you might say, well, Deshaun Watson got hurt last year, and that's true too. And that's a risk, but Watson's younger, and Hopkins has actually done pretty well, regardless of who he's had at quarterback. He's one of the most consistent wide receivers in the league, and this is splitting hairs. Obviously, they're both awesome, but I'm going with Hopkins number one overall. Real quick, here's how my ranking sheet works. I start with my personal rank for the player. I compare it to that player's ADP for his position group, which is the wide receiver ADP and the difference. So if you see a negative number, that's a player I like a little bit more than the market does. If you see a positive number, I like him maybe just a little bit less than the market does. And I keep in the current overall average draft position for the player. This is to give you an idea of where this actual player is being drafted. As you can see, most of the wide receivers are going in round 2 and 3. You're only seeing 2 wide receivers really going in round 1, and maybe Odell Beckham Jr. And that is how it's going to be this year. This is going to be a running back heavy first couple rounds, and the wide receiver position is going to drop quite a bit. Part of that is because of the lack of stud wide receivers that you really want to pay up for, and the other reason is because last season showed us, and a lot of people, that having a top-level running back is super important if you're going to win in fantasy football. And it's funny how things have been flowed. People are going so heavy running back, it almost makes you want to go wide receiver. And I don't mind that at certain points, but certainly there are a lot of studly running backs, and I think that's a big reason why this is going on. Okay, a couple other just sort of big deviations I have from the consensus. Allen Robinson is somebody I like a lot. Amari Cooper as well. Cooper, perennial disappointment with the Raiders, but with Crabtree out of the way, I think Cooper is going to get a couple more targets than he's been getting in the past. And, he drops a lot of passes, but, he can make up for that with some extra volume of targets. So I think Cooper is has the potential to have a very big year. Similar for Allen Robinson. A lot of people forget he was a first-round pick last season. Obviously got injured, wasn't able to do anything. But now he's with the Trubisky-led Bears. He's really the only game in town as far as the Bears passing game. There's no one else there that's really going to command many looks. And people are talking about Trubisky taking a leap this season under a new coaching staff. I'll believe it when I see it. But A-Rob certainly is deserving of a WR1 status that I've given him, and he's my number 11 overall wide receiver this season. You can see a couple of guys. Mike Evans, I've moved down a bit. Tyreek Hill, I've moved down a bit compared to their odds. Diggs and Thielen. A lot of people like Thielen over Diggs. I think that's a misperception. I think Diggs is really the more explosive player. He was injured last year, and Thielen kind of shined for a little bit. But we have to see how Cousins' chemistry kind of settles down with these guys. Really tough to know which one of them is going to be better than the other one. I rank them basically the same. Couple other wide receivers I like maybe a little bit more than consensus for now. Here's a couple of big ones. Here, really just this general area where I've gone very different from the ADPs. But Hogan, love Hogan this year. He looked great when he was healthy last season with Tom Brady. Now you have Edelman out for a bunch of games. Really don't have anybody else in the passing game that's distinguished himself as of yet for the Patriots. So I'm going to love Hogan those first few weeks of DFS. It'll be super chalky. And then I like him for the whole season. Landry, a little bit less than the market. I don't know. I'm not going to trust a possession wide receiver on a team with a quarterback that's not going to throw more than 15 times a game. Landry is probably still too high at 26, and he may drop even further in my rankings as the offseason goes on. But for now, I pushed him down a little bit compared to his ADP. Manny Sanders, I don't get it. What's not to like? Guy's money when he plays. Denver's improved their quarterback situation dramatically with Case Keenum. He's not good, but he's a lot better than what they've had over there. They were terrible. So I think Sanders can bounce back here. I love him as a WR3. I think it's ridiculous that he was 36 overall. Sanders is and particularly useful in PPR formats where he seems to be at his best. Another one I like a little more than the market here is Jay Crowder. You know, a lot of times the Redskins just don't have a whole lot else going on in the passing game. They have Crowder, they have, Dotson, Reed is always injured. So Crowder's perennially undervalued, and I don't think that we're going to see the conservative Alex Smith that we saw with the Chiefs. The Redskins are not as good of a team. They're going to be playing from behind a lot, and they're going to be throwing. And we've seen that Alex Smith is capable of being a shootout type quarterback. He's not a deep passer, but that's okay because Crowder plays out of slot. So I really like Crowder. Robbie Anderson, same deal, very undervalued here. He's established himself last season as one of the better weapons on a mediocre Jets offense, but whatevs. Who else are they throwing to? So I don't really get the whole 42 ranking. I think he's WR3 worthy. Same deal with Randall Cobb. So you see, this is kind of a little area where I have some I think value plays that I think everybody should try to get on top of. And those are value plays at the expense of some of these other guys. Sammy Watkins just has never produced for me before. And, I just don't trust him. Pierre Garçon, not sure what's going on with as much as I like Garoppolo with these San Francisco wide receivers, who's the top guy? You got Garçon, you got Goodwin. You got all these different guys in this area that I'm not so sure about. Another guy I like, same deal with the Rams wide receivers. Just too many wide receivers on that team to feed between Cooks, Woods, and Kupp. And they're all going way too high considering Goff isn't necessarily expected to be, this shootout type quarterback. As a matter of fact, it should go the opposite way. And they lean on Gurley, which really kind of makes all of their wide receivers volatile plays at best. Couple guys that I still like. I'm taking Dez Bryant. Just, why not? He's going to land somewhere. Maybe, I hope Seattle. That would be a great landing spot for Dez. But he's going to get there. He's going to be somewhere, and he'll be the number one wide receiver for a team. You can get him really cheap, so I like taking the chance on him. I like him more than the field. Another guy I like more than the field is Allen Hurns. Going to probably be the top passing game option for Dallas this season, and you can get him very late in your draft, 120. So you're talking about 10th round. You're getting these guys in the 10th, 9th, 8th, 9th, 10th round. These are bench fodder type players at this point in the draft. Marquise Lee, number one wide receiver for Jacksonville. Why is he 132 overall? I don't know, but I like him more than the field. So if you're using these lists, what you want to do is look at the negative numbers and kind of understand that those are the players that I'm targeting for my leagues a little bit ahead of the market. That's it for the wide receiver position. We'll move on to tight ends next. And of course, remember that to see these rankings in full and to get further breakdowns, to see the current rankings, if you're not watching this on July 12th, go to dfsarmy.com, sign up as a VIP member. We do every sport, season-long optimization tools, research stations, ownership projections. It's a one-stop shop for all things fantasy sports, particularly daily fantasy sports. That's what we do. So, like I said, check out dfsarmy.com. Sign up as a VIP. You will not regret it. On to the tight end rankings.